Space travel. Once a far-fetched dream, now stands as the norm we see of human ingenuity. As we launch rockets that breaches the heavens, we embark on a special journey, not just through the cosmos, but through a complex web of diverse challenges. This celestial venture, which begins with the thunderous roar of a rocket leaving the launch pad, has evolved dramatically over the decades. Space was once exclusive to governments, but is now open to a new era of private companies, where innovation has dramatically altered space travel in its whole. So, here lies the critical question. How has the cost-effectiveness of space travel impacted its usages? What are some implications that cost-effective space travel has given us? Back in the day, space travel was expensive only because every part of a rocket was single-use. There was absolutely no reusability. Going to space with a rocket was a one-time ordeal. This was it. The sole fact that rockets were not reusable drove up its cost. Additionally, there's another factor, although contributing a lot more steadily. The bigger demand for perfection, quality, and precision within a mission, rockets, and equipment was very costly, often requiring much redundancy. This redundancy cost much more in terms of inspection and research, whilst wearing down the morale of the team working on the rocket. Quote, "For unmanned spacecraft and launch vehicles, it did not make economic sense to try to achieve the same degree of refinement." NASA 2023. Well, one might ask, if costs were so high, why didn't NASA try to develop reusable rockets? The theory had been around since the 1970s, when the agency was developing the space shuttle. There are a few reasons to why this is. First of all, in practicalities. NASA never attempted to develop reusable rockets because it was either too impractical or too costly. Besides, NASA was a scientific agency, meaning they weren't opting for the lowest cost, but for the highest quality and sophistication. A used rocket component possibly meant imperfection, which could potentially impact the launch of the rocket. And with millions of dollars worth of equipment on the line, NASA much preferred to have a brand new rocket every time to ensure precision and accuracy. So, in order to cut costs without focusing on reusability, there were only a few choices to go by. Make bigger rocket engines, go big with propulsion, or make payloads tiny, minimize whatever possible in order to have less weight and mass. During the space race, Russia went big whilst America went small. Quote, Penn, 2014. Overall, there was really little incentive for NASA to develop reusability, especially in a time period where accuracy was crucial in winning the space race, aka the Apollo missions. Here are some solutions to the problems discussed in previous sections. First of all, call for high quality. The solution would be to set a low bar for perfection. In return, this keeps the cost lower, whilst also keeping, quote, success rates of 90% or better, and still keep the vehicle in the inexpensive category. NASA 2023. Secondly, non-reusability. The solution to non-reusability would be to make the rockets reusable. That's obvious. A problem that has been recently addressed by private companies and most notably SpaceX. The development of the Falcon 9 rocket revolutionized the commercialization of space, allowing for the reflight of the most expensive parts of a rocket, cutting costs dramatically, paving the way for speedy international connection through the web. Setting satellites now was easy and efficient, and because unmanned missions already had a low bar for perfection, which lets it have low cost, the reusability of propulsion stages made the cost even lower. For comparison, SpaceX recently charges $62 million USD per launch, or around $1,200 per pound of payload to reach LEO. Back then, NASA's space shuttles, which were retired in 2011, cost an average of $1.6 billion USD per flight, or nearly $30,000 per pound to reach LEO. Even with the cheapest satellites, Explorers of the 1970s cost about $20,000 to $40,000 in 1970s USD per kilogram, which corresponds to an even more staggering amount in today's USD. Before moving on, we first need to understand how space travel helps in our progression as a species, and also as a society. What do we truly want when going to space? Quote, "The reasons to explore the universe are as vast and varied as the reasons to explore the forest, the mountains, or the sea. Since the dawn of humanity, people have explored to learn about the world around them, find new resources, overall to improve their existence. Why go to space? NASA 2023." Neil deGrasse Tyson, a current globally famous physicist, once gave an analogy as to why humans go to space. Here it is.
Great. But you know what I think the best reason for going into space is? It's, though we have problems here on Earth, just imagine we're all in a cave. We're cavemen. There you are. We're in a cave. And I say, I like to go out the cave and explore what's across the valley and over the hills. And then you come to me and say, no, can't do that. We have problems in the cave. Got to fix the cave problems first. That has high priority. You can't go out beyond the cave. You hear how absurd that exchange is. If the sun were hollow, you could pour 1 million Earths into the hollow sun and still have room left over. So to suggest that somehow space is of no interest because it cannot serve our interests is embarrassingly short-sighted.
More cost-effective and efficient rockets means more production of satellites, which then gives us the opportunity to truly connect globally, where anyone is able to access the internet. The internet itself is a hub for social interaction and the exchange of valuable information, and so much so of education. The possible benefits of having an interconnected global community are endless. Cost-effectiveness of space travel then leads to the commercialization of space, encouraging the market, allowing more and more companies to compete in the field, or to make use of the cost-effective rockets for their own satellites, creating new opportunities for many people around the world. Again, this all links back to the previous section of why go to space. All the potential that lies in space is somewhat partially unlocked by the sole ideology, cost-efficient space travel. Quote, "We advance new technologies that improve our daily lives, and we inspire a new generation of artists, thinkers, tinkerers, engineers, and scientists." NASA 2023. All in all, the possibilities of space are nearly endless. Cost-effectiveness accelerates that. But then, of course, nothing ever comes one-sided. Negatives. Of course, no system comes without downsides. The main disadvantage of reusable rockets is their reduced payload. The reusability means that they must be built to survive the difficulties of launch and re-entry, meaning there are more stabilization fins and extra equipment. In turn, this means the rockets are heavier, which means payload needs to be lighter, and most likely have less volume, in order for a correctly balanced rocket. Secondly, another disadvantage of reusable rockets is its incentives, and hereby their environmental effects. The true effect of pollution from rockets have not been thoroughly studied and quantified, especially because reusable rockets came fairly recently. However, rockets, along with their fuel and propellant, are thought to pose a threat for terrestrial pollution, and perhaps air, as some types of propellants used in rockets are toxic. Rockets can also pollute in another form, acoustic pollution. Rockets are extremely loud as their propellants are combusted and accelerated to many times the speed of sound, creating acoustic shockwaves. These shockwaves can cause disturbances high into the atmosphere, whilst traveling extremely far. However, the true impact of this phenomenon is still unclear due to its recent nature. Rockets also pollute the region known as low Earth orbit in the form of defunct satellites and debris of different sizes. A lower cost of rockets corresponds to more frequent investments, which means a larger amount of fired rockets. Then, logically, the amount of accidents and defunct missions would also proportionally increase. These defunct missions that travel to orbit would either cause collisions or explode, creating debris. These shrapnel and particles serve practically as bullets traveling at a constant 17,500 miles per hour, threatening any operational body in the way, like satellites. As time progresses, if this debris is not cleared, it will pile up, forming a thick shooting range that effectively cuts down anything that breaks through the atmosphere, thus restricting space travel for centuries, maybe even longer, until the debris clears from losing momentum or vaporizing in the atmosphere. In conclusion, the evolution of space travel has come from its early days of costly, non-reusable rockets to the modern era of cost-effective, reusable technology. Initially limited by high costs due to the single-use nature of rockets and the demand for quality and precision, the space industry has undergone a great change with the presence of reusable rocket technology. As we look into the future, this evolution from expensive to economic promises to unlock unprecedented opportunities in our quest to explore and understand the cosmos.